Hello, gentlemen. How are you? So you may have heard of this movement, you may have not, but this is an important thing that's going on to know. Today we're talking about the MGTOW community versus the world. So first, you might be asking, if you don't know, what does MGTOW stand for? And it simply is an acronym for men going their own way. Now, the big question is not what it stands for, but why. So why does the MGTOW community exist? And in my opinion, and for a lot of different reasons, there's a lot of things like modern day feminists, maybe third wave feminists, maybe a lot of people in society who put men down as uncaring, they put men as second class citizens, and they don't really treat men with the same standards they do women. If there's a divorce, the woman can get everything. There's less sentences for women. And then there's also high breakup and divorce rates of couples in the United States, the Western world. If you listen to a lot of men, some of them say, hey, we're here, we're doing this, we're out there. They're still, maybe they're thinking good men out there, but they want to focus on their work, or they want to focus on their objects because their objects are never going to leave them. I've heard a lot of explanations from MGTOW. That's kind of what they think. And there is a lot of causality from feminists, people who are mean in society towards men and how men are generally treated. So, that being said, if you're constantly being tired, being mistreated, falsely accused, rejected, maybe you're being mocked because you're male, maybe you're even getting bullied, and you're thinking, hey, would you become a MGTOW member, and would you start to make videos or speak your mind online or offline? Would you start to say, hey, this isn't worth it. I'm stepping away. I'm going my own way because I'm tired of how I'm being treated. And that's one thing to think about. A lot of these men, not all of them are bad. There are some who, maybe they just, don't want to have any relationships. But there are some who have had it, and they felt, bullied, treated bad, rejected, maybe falsely accused of things. So that's something to think about. Would you become that if you're in that situation? And the question you have to ask yourself then is, how do you feel about American Western women in general? And I think some are good, some are bad. There's a lot of diamonds in the rough. The effect on this culture, I think, has had a more material thing, like let's just get stuff, or let's all level up. Well, I got this person, well, I found a better person, so we'll see you later. It is becoming very, very difficult. You can see with the divorce rate, one out of two marriages fail. Maybe it's even higher than that. Long-term relationships are so tough to maintain. Even in my personal experience, most of my friends who got married, I thought would stay married forever, have broken up, unfortunately. So that brings another question. Do you want to be with an American Western woman? I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying you don't want to, but long-term relationship-wise, how is that looking? And that's a question you'll have to ask. There's a lot, I still maintain, there's good American Western, women out there in America, in the UK, in Australia, and Canada. But the issue is a lot of the culture does seem to be going towards this level up, or this non-permanent feeling of, I'm not going to stick with something, I'm not going to commit with this something. If I find something better, I'm going to move on. And there is elements that do, especially in media and the court system, that don't treat men very fairly. But here's the question. You might say, okay, Kareem, I'm not, you make good points. MGTOW makes good points. Okay. I don't want to do a quick fling thing. I'm living in the West. I don't want to be, with a Western woman. Okay. But here's the hard part. As men, it's the old saying, you can't live with them, can't live without them, in a sense. Do you want to for the rest of your life? Now, I know some men may say yes, that's fine, But I know a lot of them, eventually you get lonely. You want someone to be there. You want someone to be there when you come home. You want someone to have a family with. You want someone who'll be dedicated to you. You want someone who cares. Someone who isn't just going to brush you off. So that leaves an opportunity open. Do you want to travel to Odessa, Ukraine, and find a lady who's actually interested in you, who's attractive, who's approachable, who's available, who's saying, hey, I want that long-term relationship. I know you've been hurt before, but ask yourself, is taking the risk worth it? And as I said in my other videos, you have to commit to something. Life is all about taking the challenge and overcoming it. And Odessa, Ukraine is a great place to go to meet someone who's beautiful, someone who's attractive, and someone who's saying, hey, I want that long-term relationship. We can work through this together, which is why I ask, even though I talked about it in previous questions, do you agree with the MGTOW community, regarding its beliefs, opinions, maybe its negative attitudes toward women in general? I know some men are part of it. They agree with it. Some men agree with some elements of it. That's really a question you have to ask yourself. Do you agree with it? And if you do, what elements in there do you agree with and why? And can that be overcome by finding a good long-term relationship? And I'm not going to say some of their criticisms are not legitimate or from where they're coming from where they're feeling, but you have to ask yourself, do you want to stay in this community and stay single? It's kind of a question of, well, there are challenges, can I overcome them? Or do I want to quit? So what is your honest opinion of the first group of people, maybe against MGTOW, maybe against, men of action? Do you want to be a man of action? Do you want to take action? Do you want to actually get things done? And I personally, myself, I can see myself as a man of action. So you want to ask yourself, do you see yourself as a man of action? Do you want to take action? And what does a man of action do? It's someone who overcomes their fear, overcomes adversity, overcomes other problems, that says, hey, I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to make it happen. It's the CEOs of the world. It's the famous athletes. It's the people who build empires. It's the people who really are the movers and shakers. And you can be a man of action too. You can fly to Odessa, Ukraine. You can find that happiness. You can find love. I know you've been hurt. I know you've had problems. I know you're probably saying, hey, was it worth it? Am I going to get hurt again? And unfortunately, yes, we all get hurt. But here's the big thing. Yes, there's always challenges. But do you want to stay as, a MGTOW guy? Do you want to be lonely? Do you want to be bitter? Do you want to be maybe even miserable or misogynistic or destructive or just lonely? And it's I know it's tough. And I will reiterate that again. I know it's tough. Somebody's ripped out your heart. But sometimes the best thing to do is be a man of action. Move on, overcome that adversity, and say, hey, I'm willing to go through the adventure. I'm willing to go through the challenge. I'm willing to put in the commitment. Which brings me to ask, what is your honest opinion of the second group of international couples? People who are able, such as yourself, to travel to Odessa, travel another country, and create an international relationship. And maybe start to do some visualizing. Ask yourself, can you see yourself in a permanent, amazing relationship with a woman from, Elizabeth's dating agency, from foreign web chat, in Odessa? Do you see that? Because the great thing about Elizabeth's dating agency is it's going to help guide you through the process. So it's not just you flying to Odessa trying to figure it all out. You're getting guidance. You're getting help. You're getting a sort of team behind you, if you will, to get that amazing relationship you want. So you're not alone anymore. You don't have to be bitter. You don't have to be alone in your struggle for love. And I'm going to ask you, even though you're going through a lot, do you believe in everlasting love? Do you believe in joy? Things like success, peace between someone who's maybe American, Western, UK, Canada, and a Ukrainian woman. Now, maybe the governments are going at it, but that does not mean you have to. You can find the peace there. You can be the peacemaker. You can be the one who's saying, breaking the trend, finding someone who you love and finding joy, happiness, peace, and really ask yourself, if you're pumped up, if you're excited, would you fight for your marriage connection, with her if someone, was disagreeing, was manipulative, maybe it's a family member or friend. And here, I'll just, as an example, I can give you, like, say there's a language culture barrier, okay? Maybe a busy work schedule, maybe a rejection of your fiance, your spousal visa. There's going to be challenges. It's not going to be necessarily go to Odessa, Ukraine, and then everything just falls into place. There's going to be challenges. Will you fight for your marriage? Will you fight for your woman? And even though you've been hurt before, will you fight? But if you're willing to fight, you will get the benefit of that reward. If you're willing to put in the commitment, you will get the benefit. So what is your honest opinion of the third group? And that's feminists and the anti-male society. So I'm flipping the script. We talked about MGTOW, men are saying going their own way, but think about, like, what do you think of feminists and, women are saying, I don't want men now. And in my opinion, men and women are the yin and the yang. It's not that someone's better, just you can't have night without day. You can't have baby without a man or woman. You need both the female and the male energy to have an amazing relationship. And that's really where I'm coming from. Hopefully you can take that opinion, take that, understanding, and see how it applies to nature around us. And then I'd be thinking, do I understand, how, why people think and behave the way they do? And sometimes even though someone is incorrect or someone's doing something bad, I like to see, why are they thinking the way they're thinking? What is making them tick? And if you're saying, no, they're just crazy, would you go outside your comfort zone? Maybe take a stand against them, say, hey, no, this isn't right. MGTOW, there are good women out there, and they're worth fighting for. And anti-feminists, same thing. There are good men out there, and they will fight for you, and they are also worth fighting for. You need a man and a woman. You do. That's just how nature works. So, what would you do or say in order to defeat these feminists in an anti-male society? Think about that. And really, it's just, talking about nature. It's bringing nature back into the picture. I don't ever think you can get rid of nature. You can try and mask it. You can try and play games with it. But you can ignore nature. You can't ignore the consequences of ignoring nature. So a lot of these people want to ignore nature, and then you can start to say, hey, look, some women are happy in long-term relationships. Some women are happy as families, and that is something that feminists need to respect, and also MGTOW needs to respect. So asking that, do you really believe that feminists I'm talking about have a lot in common with the MGTOW community, that have the same characteristics? As far as I'm concerned, why both groups really dislike each other, think about that. They're coming from two different ends of the spectrum, but really, I think both ends of the spectrum are extremes, and you don't want to be in extremes. As I've said a long time, the truth is not black or white, it's shades of gray in the middle. And when you can come to that realization, you can get past trying to be in this kind of herd mentality or this, well, I don't like this group because my friend doesn't like this group. And ask yourself the question, what's your honest opinion of the fourth group? And, that's American and Western couples. And maybe, are you involved with a local woman in your own country? Maybe you haven't gone to Odessa. Maybe you're dating someone locally. And how is that marriage going? And if it's going great, great. But if not, can you see a successful and happy marriage with a woman from another country, maybe specifically Ukraine, to get help with Elizabeth's dating agency? And if you encounter a successful American Western couple, to Americans dating in public? Would you be happy? Would you be jealous for them? Would you be upset? Would you say, well, why are they dating? Well, why are they, how come I'm still single and they're dating, and how are they doing it? And what would your reaction be? And then you have to ask yourself, what is your honest opinion of the fifth and last group, the rest of the world, the whole world? Are you spending time, do you like watching YouTube videos, from MGTOW, feminists? And if not, what are your reasons or your reasons for doing it? You have to ask yourself that and say, why am I enjoying these videos? Maybe they're giving me that confirmation bias I like. Maybe they're saying the things that experiences I've been through, but do you want to be in their shoes? So that leads me to just ask, what can the last group benefit from MGTOW members who choose to stay single? Maybe they're arrogant. Maybe they don't want to take responsibility for their actions. Maybe they're just negative towards people or the world in general. Ask yourself, what can, benefit from this? Why would I want to watch MGTOW members on YouTube? Maybe they do resonate with me at some level. Maybe they are making sense. But then when I see the fact that they become arrogant, they become bitter, they don't want to take some responsibility, they become negative. Do you want to do that, or do you want to be a man of action, as I said? And finally, would worldly problems such as maybe you're obese, maybe you've had some abuse, maybe there's things like human trafficking, drugs, this is a tough world, murder, would that take your mind off problems from the MGTOW community? You're looking at bad news, sad news, what's going on? All in all, the MGTOW community, the anti-male feminists, and people on the extreme sides of the spectrum don't work well with nature. As I said before, even though there's challenges, even though there's a lot of problems in society, even though long-term relationships are suffering, if you're willing to put in the work, the commitment, the time, the effort, you can have an amazing relationship with a lady from Odessa, Ukraine, with Elizabeth's help and their dating agency. And the great thing is, these groups, while you may agree with some things the males are saying here, you may agree with something the feminists are saying, and not to say they don't say truth, but when it comes down to the thing that you want to do with your life, do you want to stay single forever? And remember, as far as I'm concerned, the truth is neither black nor white. It's shades of gray. When you can come in shades of gray and say, hey, there are a few good women, there are a few good men out there, there are a few good people out there, I'm going to seek them out. I'm going to start in Odessa, Ukraine, and it's going to help because there are cultural differences there that you may appreciate, especially in terms of long-term relationships. So if you want to go your own way, find true love, peace, joy, amazing things, happiness, feel amazing, get butterflies in your stomach again, leave MGTOW and the feminists behind, you can check out Elizabeth's dating agency, take a journey to Ukraine, and contact either Elizabeth or Anastasia of Foreign Chat Web Business at 380-93238-1355. That's 380-93238-1355. Guys, I wish you the best of luck staying away from the extremes, coming into the middle, and cultivating an amazing relationship with a woman from Ukraine. Thank you so much.